Hey guys, sorry I couldn't be there today, but these few videos are all about learning about the structure and function of cells, specifically eukaryotic cells. So if you guys remember maybe from good old middle school that there are two types of cells. You can have a prokaryotic or a cell could be eukaryotic. Okay, so the cells we're going to talk about in this video are eukaryotic, meaning they have like a true nucleus with organelles. So like plants and animals are the ones we're going to look at today. Eukaryotic do not have a nucleus. They're very simple. So something like a bacteria would be an example of a prokaryotic cell. So be sure you've got that coloring worksheet in front of you, the chart in front of you. If you need to get yourself some colors, some colored pencils, pause the video and come back to me. But otherwise, I'm just going to jump right in. So the first organelle that we're going to do is the nucleus, so be sure you have your red colored pencil ready. But oftentimes the nucleus is referred to as the brain of the cell. So the brain of the cell. And what that means is it basically controls the cell's activity. Okay, so everything is regulated by this nucleus. Okay, so it controls the cell's activities. The other thing that's so important about it is it also houses the DNA. So all genetic information is stored here. So this is the brain of our cell. It's controlling all the cell's activity. So we are going to color it red. Okay. So if we're looking over here at our animal cell, it would be all of this. If you notice that it has little holes or openings in it, and that's just nuclear pores that allow things to go in and out of the nucleus. So it's got a little nuclear envelope that surrounds it, and it's got those little pores that let things move in and out. On our plant cell, it looks a little different. I guess just the angle of it, but for the sake of this, it is just this area here. We will save the outer part for another organelle. Okay, so if you will just kind of shade that in red. Don't color in that little piece. That's going to be our nucleolus that's coming up next. Okay, so the nucleus is the brain of the cell, controls all activity. The next thing we're going to talk about is our nucleolus. Okay, and so kind of get your orange colored pencil ready. But this one is, so this is what is located inside the nucleus. So sometimes we get these confused. So please don't do that. So it's located inside the nucleus. And it is actually going to produce, or you could say make, ribosomes. So we're going to talk about ribosomes here in a minute, but for now just know that our nucleolus is located inside of our nucleus and it's going to make ribosomes. So we want to color it orange. So let me see if I got an orange here. So it is just this, it is just right in here. So if you look here and here. So if you will shade that in orange. So at this point you should have your nucleus red and then your nucleolus is orange. So again, don't get those confused. So the nucleus is the whole big thing and then your nucleolus is just that little bit inside. The next thing is the plasma or cell membrane. So they're located in a little different spot here between the animal and the plant cell. But some books call it a plasma membrane, some books call it a cell membrane. So I put both terms because I didn't want you to get confused in case you saw one or the other. But its main job is basically to control what enters, to control what enters and leaves the cell. Okay, so it can decide what goes in and what comes out. Okay, in about a week or so we will talk more about this structure and stuff, but for now you could, if you want to sound fancy, you could know that it is selectively permeable. Okay, and that just means if you're selective about something, you're very picky as to what comes in and what goes out. And then permeable is that passageway. So this is saying it'll normally like to just let nutrients and water and things like that in, and then let waste products out. But sometimes things trick your cells and they can get in. But for the most part, this cell membrane is pretty smart. So we are going to actually color it a light green. So whether that means you kind of shade yours in a little bit lighter if you've just got one green, or if you've got like a lime green or something like that. So here on our animal cell, it's on the very outside. So hopefully your coloring is a little bit better than mine. But anyway, so all of this you'll want to color in a light green. Okay. So again, it's that very outer thing. Okay. Controls what goes in, helps to give it a little bit of shape, just a little form of protection for the cell. Over here on the plant, it's a little bit trickier, so hopefully I don't mess this up too bad. What's on the very outside is the cell wall, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. The cell membrane is right inside the cell wall, so I think it would be about like right here. Again, it's hard to get my marker perfect, but it's just right inside the cell wall, so it's not the very outer side. That's going to be the cell wall, but just right inside your cell wall is your cell membrane on a plant cell. So again, this just controls what goes in, what goes out. It's selectively permeable. And like I said, we'll talk about different types of transport here in the next week or so. The last organelle that we're going to cover on this video is the rough endoplasmic reticulum, or sometimes just referred to as the rough ER. So get your yellow colored pencil ready. But basically there's a rough ER and there's a smooth ER. So the main difference between the two is that a rough ER has ribosomes. So it's studded with ribosomes, and that's what tends to make it rough. So if we're looking at this structure, it's right around the nucleus. You can see all these little dots. So those are the ribosomes. If we're looking at our plant cell over here, again, all those little bumps or dots are the ribosomes. So the rough ER is considered rough because it has ribosomes. So some of the main things that it's going to do here is just basic chemical reactions. All right. The other thing, because it does have ribosomes, one of its main functions is going to be to make proteins, because that's what those ribosomes do. All right. So we're going to color this in yellow. So find a yellow for me. And on our animal cell, it's going to be all this out here. Again, hopefully you're seeing better in the lines than myself. But normally the rough ER is just right outside the nucleus. And again, you'll notice it because it's studded with ribosomes. I even think all this out here is going to be your rough ER too. And then on our plant cell, just again because of the angle of it, it almost looks like it's part of the nucleus, but I think that's just the way they did the cutting and cross-section. Okay. All right, so that is your rough ER, and then it's rough because it has ribosomes. So that's the end of this video. So once you get caught up, go ahead and go on to part 2 of cell structure and function.